Rumpelstiltskin, Buckbokai, and Dax is hot for Bashir. Hello and welcome to The Seventh Rule with your stars, Aron Eisenberg and Cirroc Lofton.
I feel like there needs to be fanfare behind that right after
that. Yeah. Well, we did the wave.
We're also going to talk about character development, a very interesting poll that Aron found. Before we get into any of that, very quickly, Aron, would you like to say a few words about our friend, Mr. J.J. Lendl?
I would love to say something about our good friend J.J. Lendl, who did the artwork for our show, as you can see behind Ryan right now. It's not that large, you know. It's actually a smaller sized image, but he made this great artwork for our show that you'll see on our various social media sites. We have some posters and T-shirts available as well on our Teespring site. And here I've got a little postcard I could share right there. It's really great. As someone hinted at, it's very RKO-ish, you know, with the antenna, and what a great job he did with the number 7th in our title. And Cirroc, I mean, that literally looks like Cirroc. I mean, it's just, and there's Ryan hiding in the back. And you know what's funny about that is, like, Ryan, you're always doing that though. You're always doing that.
I'm like creeping in the back,
man.
Creeping in the back.
And well, he watched Zoolander a lot, and he loves the character.
What did he do?
Blue Steel.
Blue Steel.
And J.J. Lendl has a lot of amazing artwork on his website. He did this really great shot of Little Green Men, the DS9 episode. You can find him at www.jjlendl.com, and that's Lendl. So www.jjlendl.com.
Piggybacking on that very quickly, we also have an online store which has all the goodies you may want, and it features J.J. Lendl's art like this. It's got, I didn't mean to like come up your nostrils right there.
Yeah, it was a two-fister.
Easy. It's a family show.
So we've got art, all kinds of art from J.J. Lendl on there. We've got mugs, we have shirts, we've got socks even, hoodies are coming, tank tops are coming. If you want, send us a message with your request. You want our face on a basketball, on a kitten, whatever you want, we can do it.
Wow, whatever it is.
You want our face on
no kittens will be harmed.
Anyway,
we could have underwear with each of us on one cheek, the other on the other cheek. I mean, we can go crazy with this.
And I have them on right now, but I won't show.
That's just for the patrons. So our, by the way, the website is at teespring.com/The Seventh Rule, or just go to teespring.com. That's TEESPRING.com, and you can just search for The Seventh Rule. We're also going to put it in our description box. Lots of cool stuff, and it's
cool stuff.
Show. Let's get into it, shall we?
Let's jump right into it. So the poll that I saw,
yes.
I think I saw it on one of the Facebook pages. I think it was I don't know if it wasn't the unofficial Star Trek one, but I don't think it was the official one either. But it had 4 photos. It had a photo of Anthony Montgomery's character Travis, Will Wheaton's character Wesley Crusher, myself as Nog, and Garrett Wong as Ensign Kim. And it asked which character had the best story development, story arc, growth as a character. The majority of people said Nog, and some had others. Some had actually chosen some of the others. And I found it really interesting thinking about it, because what really constitutes great story arc? And I feel unbiasedly, Nog definitely had the most growth, because you see this young hooligan, this illiterate hooligan that's befriended by the amazing Jake Sisko, the wonderful angel of Jake Sisko. And
give it up for Jake Sisko.
Yes, give it up for Jake Sisko.
Okay.
And then he grows into a Starfleet officer, and you really see that growth through the 7 years of a show. And it had me thinking about one, our writers who committed. Well, I don't know if they committed to it at the beginning or if they found that path in the process of writing on the show. And then I thought, why wasn't Travis's character given more growth, especially considering that he was the first human born in space? Now, I haven't watched Enterprise yet, but I know that part of his character wasn't explored as much as it should be. And you can also look at Garrett Wong's character, who's still an ensign after 7 years. And then Wesley Crusher's character, I even thought more interestingly how you could develop a quote unquote genius, and you could deal with the struggles that maybe he has in the situation that he's found himself in, and being as intelligent as he is. And I again, I didn't see TNG, so I'm not sure what stories they explored in that. But it had me thinking about how wonderful, forgive me for being, I guess this might sound biased, our writers had on our show in the development of the characters, and not just mine. You got Damar, you got Rom, you've got Odo, you got Kira, you've got not just the regular cast, but you also have the recurring cast that had such wonderful story arcs. So
right.
why, and here's my question then to you guys is, what do you think about that? And why is that in other shows, they struggle with that? Sometimes they want to develop characters and they kind of do a little bit, but they kind of miss that mark. Is it just because they're adults? I think even as an adult, we are still growing as individuals. We still make mistakes. We still fall on our face and have to get back up. And it just had me thinking a lot about shows, and and watching that even more closely these days.
Cirroc?
Sorry.
Yeah, one thing that came up when you said that was, I remember an old saying that says you don't measure the success of a man or a person by how high they achieve, but by the depths from which they come from.
Right? Good one.
And so it brings me to think about how your character really had a bottom place to start out, where and this is not a diss, but it just means you came from this place where you were not that moral, and you were not that intelligent. And
well, no, that's not true.
well,
because,
at least with reading, let's just say. All right.
Well,
So
no, but that would be knowledgeable, because
right.
obviously,
Okay, not that knowledgeable.
to,
You were intelligent in your ways of conniving and being a hustler, and I would say that's more of a scheming type of intelligence.
No.
I think.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll wait.
I just think that your character comes from this place where, and you have this cultural thing that you're battling, your heritage and your own culture, and what you're expected to be and become in this kind of shrewd way. And I think that you defy all of those things by really finding your way throughout the show and surpassing expectations. And I think that's one of the things that we limited ourselves by, is our expectations. And if you have big expectations and you have these grandiose desires for yourself, even though other people may not see that in you, that's what is the redemption quality for Nog, in my opinion, is that you had these really grandiose visions of what you wanted to do, and you stumbled into it. It wasn't like from the beginning, but you found yourself and you discovered that you wanted to have integrity, you wanted to be a good leader, that you wanted to stand for morality and something with a moral compass. So I think these things kind of matured and grew out of who you became during the course.
The reason why I was trying to stop you on the intelligence thing is I think the thing that he didn't have was knowledge, because I think he is a very, very intelligent individual, because he wouldn't have been able to learn to read and then grow as quickly as he did without intelligence, is my point.
No,
meaning if I wasn't
I see that.
smart, I wouldn't have been able to join Starfleet, season 4, after learning how to read in season 1. So I feel like they kind of set it up in the sense that Nog is a lot smarter and more intelligent than we think. That was really my only point on that.
Yeah.
But everything you said is right. But what I agree with. The question I have is, what is it about watching DS9 or any show for that matter that really pulls us into a character? And one of the things that I think that people gravitate towards Nog so much is, I've often said he's one of the most human characters, because you literally see him fail and try again. And I think that is the human connection that truly brings people into shows, that brings them in to whatever worlds they want to get into, is to see that plight, to see that to have that kind of connection, that if that character can go through what he went through or she went through and lift themselves up and try again and succeed and become better for it, as the quote that you said earlier, that's the journey that I think we enjoy so much. So when we watch these other shows, I feel like I'm starting to watch even more for those conflicts, that gray. And when you look at Travis's character, which I haven't seen Enterprise, so Ryan, you got to jump in here because you saw Enterprise. When you watch TNG, did those characters and Voyager, did they have that gray? Did they have that where they went through something, they fell, they struggled, and came out better for it? And that's the growth that I guess I'm talking about. You know, not just you learn to read, you join Starfleet, you know, you do these certain things, A, B, and C. It's really the journey of our humanity, right? Our the insight, as Cirroc quoted, I think so perfectly earlier.
You know, I don't know if you guys watch Around the Horn, but when you guys are making these points, I want to give you guys points like on that ESPN show. Cirroc knows, right? I want to be like, oh, that's a good one. 3 points for that one. But instead, I just raise my eyebrows. Nothing. But, oh, great.
We'll have to figure out how to make that happen, right?
So, yeah, you know, obviously, yeah, I've seen all these episodes. I've seen all the series. I will say that the answer is Nog's character is easily the character that got the most character development, the best story arc. You know, I don't think there's really a discussion there. I think that's pretty hands down. I do think that somebody that got a ton of character development and a great story arc, even though they kind of started off at the top, was Sisko. I mean, we did see him go from commander to captain. Mm-hmm. We did see him go from one look to another look. He went from being a guy who lost his wife to practically a god to certain people. You know, so he had a huge story arc. But with regard to these other guys, the one I was most disappointed in was Travis, was Anthony Montgomery's character. He and Hoshi, they were like two wasted characters, because with Enterprise they really tried to go back to that you know, triumvirate, or the triad, you know, that they had with Kirk and Spock and Bones. They tried to do that with Archer, T'Pol, and Trip, which was great in its own right. But if there are 7 main characters, you want to dig deep into all 7 main characters. And they had Hoshi and they had Travis. Now, granted, they were ensigns, but they were really good characters that they could have used, and they really didn't use them enough. So that's the one I was most disappointed with. Harry Kim, I was fine with him. He definitely should have moved up to Lieutenant Junior grade at some point, but they gave him some stories. He was interesting. I remember there was one with him and Chakotay going into the future. I know that was a really good one. There was some good meaty chunks for him to chew on. And Wesley Crusher, that was the most unrealized potential, because you had this genius, and we kept waiting. One of these days, he's going to grow up. He's going to become this full-fledged ensign, and then a lieutenant. He's going to take everything over. He's going to be so cool. And then he just went off with the Traveler on some weird episode that didn't really make sense. It really didn't work for me.
And it's too bad, because it seems like that could have been there could have been some really great stuff to explore there, with having this kid who's probably smarter than anybody on that ship, and how he deals with that, or whether in a positive way or in a negative way, and the struggles he goes through in that. You know what I mean? I guess what I'm trying to say is when we watch things, are we seeing a character go from point A to point B, C, D, and E? Are we seeing a real journey of an individual? And I'm starting to, think about Discovery when we watch that. And I'm watching, as we watch this show, I'm thinking about the same thing. Is there growth for these characters?
Well, real quick, Deep Space Nine did that for every single character. And they're the only one, that's the only series so far. I mean, if you really think about it, look at Odo's journey. I mean, from beginning to end, his journey was incredible. Major Kira, she had this long journey and story arc, and every one of them, you could follow them through 7 years. So I would say that, 12 out of the top 15 character arcs are all in Deep Space Nine. Even if you look at Damar and Dukat, even Garrick, like the secondary
Mhm.
characters. You know,
Yeah.
Jake. I mean, everybody had these long, completely all-encompassing story arcs. Like Jake, you know, in the first season is 180 degrees different than Jake in the seventh season. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of that I wanted to say because I think Aaron, you were asking about what is the reason for that, like what causes that to happen, and I think that in some cases it is the actual person. So I think Aaron, you as an actor and bringing what you brought to the table, the level of commitment, the vision that you have for the character, I think those things translate on screen and. Um, and allow for the growth that we're talking about.
Mm.
So if you,
You're
you
getting
know,
points right now, Cirroc, by the way. Getting points.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because if I was the type of actor, let's say, who shows up late all the time, you know, half-ass reads my script on like, right before we're about to film, the
Don't
writers.
you dare name names right now,
And
Cirroc.
I'm not naming any names. I'm just saying there are these kinds of people
Right.
that are, you know, half-ass their work and, you know, feel like they can just wing it. And those people, it's not going unnoticed by the crew, by the writers, by the, you know, the dailies. It comes back, and if your level of input is going to be suspect, then people will then start to care less about trying to push themes your way or develop your character. They say, well, he's just okay with phoning in this particular role in this way, and we're okay with that too. We'll just write it that way.
Mm.